Welcome to the Occult Rejects. We are two former secret society members who were determined to show the public the truth that occultism has been purposely integrated into every aspect of society, from politics to music, Hollywood, and science. This is used to manipulate the public as a whole and to protect the fake elite. The symbols are used all around us to affect world events and public perception, our behavior, and even our future. We will translate the occult so that you have eyes to see. We reject their agenda to give you the tools to save yourself.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Occult Rejects with your host Lux
and the NY Patriot.
And today we have on one of our listeners who has done some really cool research into Native American culture and sort of how this connects to occultism. His name is Thrash. I really appreciate him coming on the show. So what's up, buddy? Thanks for coming on, man.
What's up? Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Thank
you.
For,
I'm curious. How did you get into this? Like, this is a very specific subject. What kind of got you into it?
Well, I've always kind of been interested in Native American stuff, and I'm related to a couple tribes. I'm Cherokee, and then Powhatan or something. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Pocahontas, that's what she was. And right. I've researched my family history since I was a little kid, like 10, 11. And it traced back to her. I'm related to Pocahontas's father, Chief Powhatan, he's the guy that met Joseph Smith. But to say that I'm related to Pocahontas is pretty crazy because he had like 25 kids, the chief.
Holy fuck, he was putting in work, huh?
Yeah, he was putting in work.
Holy
yeah, they
shit.
had what's it called? Like different villages just everywhere. Yeah, when the pilgrims and all that came, I mean, they had full on. I mean, you wouldn't believe how big these villages were. But that's how I kind of got into it. Kind of finding out I'm related, and then I've always did a little research here and there on different tribes. Like since I'm here in Colorado, the Utes it's like one of the main tribes. It's literally the main tribe here, basically. So I've always been kind of into them. But then after I heard the Skinwalker series, I was thinking, man, I could probably find some pretty cool information that might tie in to the area and with the tribes, since you guys had to kind of condense. You couldn't put everything in the series.
Yeah, that could have been like a 10-part series if we wanted it to be. At least 1 or 2 episodes more. I'm sure
I found a lot of stuff here the past few months I had no clue. So, and honestly, me researching this, I'm very interested in this, and I think I'm actually going to start a show.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Interviewing. I want to interview different tribes, different people in the tribes, find out everything I can, or that they're willing to tell me, and just interview every tribe, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be cool, because a lot of the information you'll find out is very hard to find. It's not on the internet.
A lot of spoken word.
A lot of it isn't on the internet.
Like, what was they called? Like orally transmitted or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had no written language, so everything was passed down orally. Yeah.
Definitely check out there's a tribe in New York. Well, obviously not now, but I mean like in the past. And they had a small island. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but look into it. It's fascinating. The island was then bought by the Rockefellers and stuff, and they built houses on top of the ceremonial altars that the natives had there. I mean, an entire house where the living room was directly on top of where the altar once was. And they were doing, this was very different than a lot of other tribes because they were doing human sacrifice, which wasn't very common in
Wow.
Where was that? That had to have been off of Long Island, right?
I can't remember, but you're definitely going to
I
find it if you just Google like Rockefeller Island or whatever. Because
it's not Turtle Island, is it?
Of course, New York, though. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Long Island and New York, the weirdest shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That sounds really cool. For sure.
We even had they had Lake Ronkonkoma that was known for a while, but I think eventually did stop. There was a lake for a while. There was at least one male a year that died in that lake, and there was supposedly a tale tying back to some Native American princess who I think couldn't marry a white guy, and her father wouldn't let her, so I think she killed herself at the lake or whatever. And now every year she steals like a male. And I remember hearing that tale growing up as a kid on Long Island, and like for a long time, people did drown in that. A male did every fucking year for a while.
Huh.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, I don't know if there's any truth to the story, but it was just a creepy coincidence and a weird story growing up. And in Long Island, like, I just always was told, like, there's basically an Indian burial ground that had houses built on it. Like, people would always say that. Pretty much that's all of Long Island. It was basically all Indian territory to them. I remember hearing that growing up as a kid, so that's why I found it very interesting when Lux just said that now.
What I can find about it real quick is that the island is called a Roosevelt Island. I could
be wrong. Yeah. When we were talking before, that was one of the places I used to go to make deliveries. Roosevelt Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been there before. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's like right outside of. You take a little bridge out of, kind of like I think that's Astoria technically that you might be leaving from, out of Queens, and you can go right over to Roosevelt Island. Take a little drawbridge, I think it might be, or something.
It might be that tribe that I'm related to, the Powhatan or whatever.
That's fucking weird.
Because I think that they were all over, like New York and North Carolina, South Carolina, all that.
Yeah, even in the area that I lived in, growing up, was all Indian street names. They were all tribes of Indians. That's why I was like, fuck. I always love hearing shit about fucking Long Island because there is a lot of Indian stuff with Long Island. So sorry to like get off track, but Lux brought it up and he got me all excited. I was like, fuck, I haven't heard this one yet. I wouldn't doubt it.
There's all kinds of places that are like Ute names and names of Ute chiefs and everywhere, like the highways, and every highway in Colorado is basically old Ute trails. Every road, every main highway, it's all the trails that they used to take. And I'll start talking about the Utes. The Utes, so they're from Colorado, northern New Mexico, a little bit of southern Wyoming, and then a little bit of like western Utah, right where the Skinwalker Ranch is. And a lot of the tribes and groups that were from Colorado, when they got kicked out of Colorado, they moved them over to Utah. So, like the Utes, their reservation literally used to be the whole west part of Colorado. So, from basically where the Rocky Mountains start west was all theirs. And then eventually it's like today, they got a little small sliver down there by the Four Corners. And then they got one up there in the Uinta Basin or whatever in Utah. And yeah, it's crazy what happened to these tribes, man. It really pisses me off. Some of the stuff I've read and found, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Just real quick, I want to ask you, did they move any way like that the Mormons did too? You know how like the Mormons kind of had like the way that they moved around the United States to get to Utah? Was it kind of like in the same way? Because you said that they came down from like the top of the United States, the Utes, and then they ended up in Utah, right?
They came from Colorado because they literally kicked them out. There was a whole campaign in Colorado. It can't quite remember the name of it, but in all the newspapers and everything, it was like Utes must go, and it's like some cavalry guy chasing a Indian guy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's weird. The
Yeah,
Mormons got
and
kicked
it
out
all-
of, I think, Missouri, was it? I think they got kicked out of there. I mean, they both kind
The
of
Utes?
almost... No, the Mormons. It's just, well,
Oh.
it's just funny how they both kind of have a little bit of almost...
They got kicked out of a lot of places. That's why they went down to Mexico. There's like a whole communities in Mexico that are Mormon.
Yeah. Mitt Romney,
Because of
his
polygamy.
family's from there.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
Mormon, and they, sort of like the gun-wielding, like protectors of their little area that they have down there.
Yo, you know what I thought was interesting? I watched that. I remember, I hate to get off topic, but just real quick. I remember watching, I think you sent that to me, and that shit was like fucking crazy. I never knew that. And then I ended up watching something else, I think, to like go along with that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but coming across that, what I thought was weird is that I started looking up that a lot of the guns that the cartels get busted with, that the Mormons are supposedly fighting with, are getting busted with American weapons. Yeah. And the cartel areas that the cartels that they're supposedly keeping off are also missing kids a lot. So could maybe there be an exchange and you just got a dude sitting in an outpost with a gun making it look like it's fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, it seems very fucking shady in my opinion.
Take a look at what's called Operation Fast and Furious. It's where the U.S. government got caught supplying cartels with American-made guns. And they said that they were sending them to these, different gangs and different cartels to track where the guns went. Absolute BS. Not to get too far off topic, but yeah, look into that. It's something definitely tying into what NY's saying.
Yeah, and they all happen to not know where all the weapons went. They were watching them. Now, where'd they go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 50 caliber snipers and grenade. I mean, literal military grade weapons, not just some hunting rifle from Walmart or something.
Dicks.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, and Obama. Then nobody ever brings that up with that guy ever.
Right. So sorry to get you off track.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, you're good. I could get off track too, so you might have to
really back
steer me back.
Yeah, after I realized
myself. Yeah, I'll just start describing some stuff with the Utes. The Utes, like I said, they're from Colorado mainly, and they're actually one of the last tribes to be like infiltrated or whatever, kicked off their lands and stuff because the Rocky Mountains were very rugged and not a lot of people went into the mountains, so people didn't run into the Utes very much because they were nomadic, so they would travel to certain areas in the summer and then travel back through the winter, and they constantly moved. They didn't just sit in one area. They constantly moved, and they would like in the summer times they move up in the mountains. And then in the winter, they move back down to the lower elevation. They stay like in canyons and stuff like that to keep away from the wind and everything. But their whole life was made for nomadic living. They knew where every plant was in certain areas. They knew what certain areas had certain animals and what species. And they wouldn't just take every single piece of that plant or like, let's say there's like pinyon nuts. That's one of their favorite foods they would eat, like in the Utah tribes. And they wouldn't just take every pinyon nut and then, bam, there's no more for next year. They always left some for next year. And they had medicine trees. They had... They knew where all these locations were. They had memorized them for hundreds of years. It's pretty amazing, I think. Pretty amazing.
And you said it was all oral tradition too, right?
All oral. That's cool. One of the sad things with the Utes is a lot of their stuff and customs are lost. Like they'll never regain it again because it is oral tradition. There wasn't like some chief a long time ago wrote down this ceremony. No, they passed that ceremony down to their child, and then that child would carry it on. So let's say one of them got in a fight with the cavalry, he dies, it's gone. The Utes is one of the sadder things. That's why I want to do those interviews and stuff, because I think there's a lot of stuff that could be preserved and learned about them. You know, because like if you look up stuff on the Utes, like on the internet, you find real basic stuff.
It's very hard. Yes, it is. That's why when you had offered to do this, I was like, sure, because I was already.
Yeah, I had to buy.
You had to buy books.
Yeah, I had to buy books like Ute Tales. Good luck finding Ute Tales on Google. Can't find them.
No, there
might be one or two.
I had mentioned after we did Skinwalker, I had even mentioned to Lux about covering Indians. I was interested in the Anunnaki, and I think there was another one, and he was like, yeah, maybe we could do that at some point. And then I was like, yo, it's actually hard if you want to find, like, really anything beside basics. When I was even trying to, like, look for shit online myself. So when you had offered and you were showing me you had books, I was like, I'll just let you take this, man.
Well,
because I was like, I'm not going to say such basic shit about them. Or it's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Ute, like religious stuff and ceremonies. There's nothing really. And I got every book you could possibly get probably. And there's some stuff. Like the medicine wheel was very important to the Utes. And the Lakota, which is one of the tribes that I'm going to talk about, the Lakota, they said that the Utes were the most versed at the medicine wheel than anybody. Maybe not anybody, but they said that they were they had everything down. And now that's gone. The Utes, I don't even think, do medicine wheel stuff without, they might do something, but it's not the same that they used to do like in 1700 or something. Mm-hmm. And like the Utes say, anytime they built a new camp, so they're nomadic, right? So every camp, it was started with a medicine wheel. A medicine wheel was built, and then the camp would be built. So everything is based on this medicine wheel. And every tribe has their version of medicine wheel, basically. Every version, every tribe. And the crazy thing is with the medicine wheels, you find them way up north in Canada, and you find them way down south in Mexico. And then you find them here. And there's one I'm going to talk about here in a bit that's pretty crazy. And that they're old. A lot of the tribes will tell you that it was there before they were there. And stuff. So the medicine wheel is really one of the only things I could find with the Utes. I found some cool tales and creatures they believe in, stuff like that, but not much on their religion. So I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on the Ute stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to cover them first.
Well, even you're saying, so they built their cells around the medicine wheel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, the reason I was even interested in the Indians, and this is why I really wanted to have you on too, is because I do think, just in my opinion, it's just they could be two totally different personalities and types of people, but I do not think there's much of it. Like when just you saying that they built their towns around this medicine wheel, like made me think of DC. It's very occult architecture. Mm-hmm. Is there much of a difference in between a secret society and what these people were then, besides maybe like their beliefs? But you know what I'm getting at? Like I think people misunderstand. Like, just because this dude had feathers on his head and he looked all fancy and he's jumping around and entertaining people doesn't mean it's not the same thing that I was doing in the OTO. We just have a different look. We have a different way of doing it. It's the same shit.
What I'm going to get into is that they are secret societies. Every tribe is basically a secret society. Most of their traditions and stuff are all kept within. They're not. They don't go out to the outsiders, which is another reason why I kind of want to do that show, just to see if, they would tell me new information and stuff that hasn't been talked about or anything. But,
gotcha.
But yeah, they're definitely secret societies. Like the Navajo, they do these and I kind of showed you a video last night. They do these dirt paintings, sand paintings, and they're supposed to be done on sand because when they were first appeared, the gods are the ones that showed them in the clouds. They showed these things, and it's normally always a medicine wheel in the middle, and then you have your deities, top, bottom, left, right, so your cardinal directions, and then whatever this painting is being used for. Maybe it's to heal somebody that's sick, stuff like that. But it's done in sand because they're not supposed to be permanent. They're not supposed, because those are not supposed to go out to outsiders. It's supposed to be kept in the tribe and secret to them. It's their knowledge. They don't want to just be giving it away, especially to all the stuff that's happened to them.
That's interesting. Because it hasn't. I know Crowley and I think other people have specifically gone to like desert areas to do rituals. I mean, and you'd be able to do the same thing, draw the shit in the sand and then just wipe it away when you're done.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's even how, isn't that how, like, Israel Regardie, I think, kind of got fucking raped by Crowley? Is because I think Crowley, like, threw sand or something over the line in the triangle that he was in. Yeah. And I think got out and then started butt raping fucking Regardie. And I think Regardie banished the demon or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that little story. If you go to those pictures, if you can find the ones with the medicine wheel stuff, see, this would be like a sand drawing. Now, they're typically not done in a painting because of the reasons I told you, but yeah, you can see there's a medicine wheel. In the background, you can see 4 deities in the different directions. You can also notice it's like a Navajo swastika. It's a very prominent symbol in their culture. And these deities, one of them is called the Black God, and the Black God is he's a deity of mainly fire, of all things fire, and he created the first fire, and that has to do with the Navajo.
So similar to the Tibetan Buddhists and stuff like that. That the same. I mean, they have a lot of the same traditions as what you're describing. You know, making these giant. What are they called? Mandalas.
Yeah,
right, in the sand.
Go over. Keep going. There's a mandala on the end.
Yeah, real quick.
With
you see
the
that
tree of life.
Little dude right there, like that. Remember on that the Golden Dawn Tarot, Magical Tarot deck that I had, the Moon card had that little guy coming out of the fucking water.
The lobster.
Yeah, it's like, you can't tell. It's like if it was a lobster or a weird crab or what the fuck it was. Yeah, it looks just like that though. Yeah, I would think a lobster.
That could represent like being born, like coming from the womb, because water. The water is broke. It might. I'm guessing here, but it might also signify maybe when they first came to this world, because they believe they came through a hole in the ground, and the ant people. That might be the Hopi, but the ant people are the ones that brought them here from a different world, like a different dimension, basically.
Yeah.
And see, if you look at this one here, you can almost see the swastika thing with this as well with the colors.
Yep.
It's a lot more prevalent there.
Since we're already on it, I might as well just start talking about medicine wheels.
Go for it.
So could you go back to the beginning, like the first picture, please? Too far.
Oh, too far.
Sorry. Of the medicine wheels. Sorry.
That's all right. I'll edit this all out.
There's a little spoiler. Okay. That was a little. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the medicine wheel. So it can mean a lot of things. So typically the center of it would represent, and it's different with every tribe, but the center could either mean the creator or yourself. And then the inner part would be like life, and then the outer part basically represents the universe. So each color, so you got on this one, this would be more of a Lakota style medicine wheel. So you got white in the north, yellow in the east, red in the south, and black in the west. So that could represent north, east, south, west. And medicine wheels always go clockwise. And now, if you're going counterclockwise, you're actually going in reverse. You're actually undoing. So let's say you're doing a ceremony. If you're going clockwise, it would be considered good. Now, if you're going the opposite way, you could be inviting in something bad or doing something bad, like going clockwise might, like a banishing ritual or something, a protective circle.
Exactly,
Well,
yeah.
if you did the opposite way,
Then you
counterclockwise,
Yeah, I know
you
some
could
people that
be
would do it that way,
inviting anything.
That's
But-
I was gonna say this is even going by it's got east and south correct with the colors. If this is the LBRP, the west would even go with, I think, nighttime, or so I could see maybe black, but I mean it's not, it's blue. But I mean this is like half an LBRP, and like the same thing that you were saying, there is an invoking and a banishing,
Yeah.
difference. You draw the
Very similar.
pentagram differently.
Very similar to the way that the spheres on the Tree of Life, too, are segregated into 4 sections, even though it's one shape, one sphere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's got
Well,
4 different
your
personality
episode the
traits.
other day, the Kabbalah one, when you started talking about Malkuth, and then I saw the picture, I was like, wow, that looks a lot like a medicine wheel. It's divided into the 4 parts. Yeah, and also some medicine wheels, the middle could have like a tree in the middle, kind of like the tree of life or things like that. But they can, so like I said, it could represent direction. It could represent the races of the world. So it could be the white person, the Asian, the Indian, and the black man. Or it could be the seasons. It could mean life, like the cycle of life. So you would start in the east, would be like childhood, and then red would be teenage, and then black would be like you're elderly, and then white would be like afterlife or after you've passed away. It can mean they represent different animals. They could represent numerous different things. See, this one has the wolf, the eagle, the grizzly bear, and I can't read the red one.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Buffalo. Yeah, and see, you can see it's different colors. See, every tribe, their medicine wheels have different colors. I'm not sure which tribe this one is. I would assume like some tribe in like Montana or Idaho, because the grizzly bear. But
they also put the positive and negative on there as well, which is interesting because again, it's the same thing that's on the Tree of Life, positive and negative aspect of the sphere.
Yeah, and then
back to that one.
go to the next one. See, now here's like the Mayan cosmology of the world. So it ties in with the medicine wheel. So you got the upper world, the lower world, and then you got it, and not only that, the Mayan calendar would also be considered a medicine wheel. So to me, it almost seems like I've kind of come up with the thought when doing the research that this stuff is, I think the Mayans might have came from Utah and Colorado and went south. And there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. They're finding a lot of crazy archaeology stuff, pictographs on walls and stuff that mimic a lot of the Mayan stuff.
You know what I've even noticed, and it was like, this is what made me interested with the Indian stuff, really, is that when we were even covering Skinwalker Ranch and when we got into the whole Mormon thing, I'm pretty sure me and Lex had even mentioned it. Like, they even have like their own like independent archaeologists that are like bouncing around, like looking at shit. And there were ones that I know that were even following like these circle things that they thought the Hopi Indians did. And they thought that they were able to like follow like their travels throughout the country from those things. And it's just I started realizing like why are the Mormons so worried about Indians? And that made me really start looking at that shit. And I'm like, this stuff really isn't that much different than I think what I was doing or what we're talking about. It's just different way of saying it.
They believe they're lost tribe of Israel. They really believe that. It's part of their beliefs. And you can find a lot of information that might back that up, but I don't think that's true. I think kind of like how the medicine wheel is. There's all the different races. I don't think that the Native Americans came from Asia and walked here over a land bridge. I think that they started here just like. Yeah, I think they started here. I don't think that they came here. And that rules out to me that they're not a lost tribe of Israel. But there is some interesting stuff.
No, I've often thought that actually that whole thing with all those tribes leaving, I thought could have been like really when the Indians were getting screwed over. Like they were here and then those people came over here, and like it's been a lot longer than Columbus that they were probably getting fucked with.
I don't know. As of right now, I don't think that they're a lost tribe of Israel. And this guy, Russell Means, I found doing this research. Never heard of him before. He's actually became one of my favorite people as of recent, just to listen to. He's like basically like a Malcolm X or something of the American Indians. And he has a whole spiel on one of the links that I sent you, his 1980 speech that people can check out later if they want to watch it.
Yeah, I have 2 links from you that I'll include in the show notes.
It's the older one. He goes into this whole thing, basically the whole thing I talked about, like the land bridge and walking over from Asia, and that they started here, they didn't immigrate here. And then he goes into, he gives a little jab towards the Mormons, and he said, no, we're not a lost tribe of Israel and stuff like that. But Russell Means, he's cool. I think you guys will like those videos. He thinks a lot like how we do. And he was talking about this stuff forever, since the 80s at least. Like he's pretty cool. I think you'll like it. Like those links.
Nice. Yeah, I think that a lot of the, when it comes to these tribes and like the migration stuff, I don't know if you've read too much about like Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, their theory of the Younger Dryas period around 10,000 years ago, which, giant calamity happened in North America, and Native people were forced to go south. So that would definitely jive with the theory that they were here, but maybe had to go south because of whatever giant, cataclysm had happened. So
that's funny. I was gonna bring in Graham Hancock at one point during the conversation, so that's perfect. That was great.
Nice.
But another thing that might lend credence to that. So the Utes, their language it's like Oto-Aztecan. So the Ute language is in a family with the Shoshone, the Paiute, the Comanche, the Aztec, I believe the Maya, and there's a few more. So all these languages derive from the same thing. So that would almost lend credence that they started at this place and then migrated south. And then like at Chaco Canyon, there's bones of parrots and stuff. Well, there's no parrots in Arizona. They had to have been brought here at some point. And what that tells me is that these people maintained an alliance with trading and everything else. And then not only that, the Maya also said they came from an area of red rocks. And the only spot north, they say they came south from the north in the area of red rocks, and that matches Arizona and Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
It's
So-
great. Have you ever been there? That place is wild. Red Rocks.
No.
The concert venue?
Yeah. That whole surrounding area, it has
I
such
have been
a
there.
weird vibe. I don't know if you picked it up when you were there, but it's like a very it just feels energized. Like there's something
100%.
there, you know? I think even
100%.
bands talk about that, like performing at Red Rocks feels
I think
different.
Wow.
I think it could probably be all the music and concerts played there is literally being imprinted into the rock. And then you have all the people on mushrooms and LSD and all this shit going on in these concerts. And yeah, and then if you go south in Colorado from Red Rocks, so Red Rocks is up like in Denver. South, if you go to Colorado Springs, there's a place called Garden of the Gods. And it was a very sacred place to the Ute, but it was sacred to a lot of tribes. Like they would come from far distances, like the Comanche would come from Texas all the way up to come. The Cheyenne would come from like Kansas and Nebraska to come to this place. And even if they were a tribe that fought, like Comanche and Ute, they would not fight in Garden of the Gods. It was a very sacred area, and it wasn't called Garden of the Gods. That's not even a translation from Native American or anything. But those Red Rocks are there, and it's just like Red Rocks, but they're more. It's not like a concert venue. It's kind of like a hiking area and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, you get a crazy feeling there, and I worked in there every day for 3 or 4 years. I used to give horseback rides through there, and yeah, there's something about it. And it has more of like a sacred feeling. It's weird. It has a pretty good feeling to it.
And if tribes and people are doing a ritual in certain locations, I think they definitely are doing the rituals at a important geographic site, a certain ley line or a certain
something
that kind of gives it more power. Yeah. And if they're doing that for years and generations, I mean, the stored up energy there, it could explain it,
Well, NY, can you go to the pictures of the locations, like the mountains and all that?
Yes.
Okay. Because that was a perfect segue.
Gotcha.
I'm going to talk about the Bighorn Medicine Wheel. And it's in Bighorn, Wyoming, in the Bighorn Mountains, and this is at 9,000 feet. And the Crow people even say that it was there before they were there. So I'll tell you when to stop. Oh, that picture real quick. Look at the guy in the headdress. You know who that is? Go back.
Oh,
Look,
Einstein.
Look closely. Einstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Hopi. He went to the Hopi, and he had like, I guess he was at a ceremonies or something, because he has a pipe and everything, and pipes are normally done with ceremonies.
Wow.
It's like his
That's
wand.
pretty cool.
And those are Hopi women. So you can see they got some weird haircut, but that's like
the Princess
Leia shit.
Yeah, and then if you look at the plate, there's that spiral.
Yeah.
And that spiral it can mean a lot of things. On that Skinwalker Ranch show, that Navajo guy they brought out, he's like, it represents a portal. So,
well, we had that guy Carl the Crusher on, and he found a spot where there was ones like that, but one was going one way and one was going the other way. And he even said,
interesting.
I think he even said he meditated there too and everything.
Kind of like what we were talking about with the medicine wheel.
Yeah.
It could go clockwise or counterclockwise. And I think that Navajo guy on that Skinwalker Ranch show said something about that too. About clockwise and counterclockwise.
That's wild.
But keep going. Let me see if I can.
Keep going.
So that's Navajo. Yeah, keep going. It'll be like it'll be that big stone circle, kind of like Stonehenge. Or wait, I'm sorry. Go back a couple where the guys on the horses. Okay, right there. That's Garden of the Gods. That's that place I was talking about.
Gotcha.
So that's a that's a whole group of Ute chiefs or a tribe, the whole tribe or something, walking through Garden of the Gods, that Red Rock area. That's down there in Colorado Springs. That's Chief Ouray, and there's a whole town named after him, Ouray, Colorado, and then there's a county named after him. And I could talk about him, but let's skip it. Go. So right here is the Bighorn Medicine Wheel, and that's in Wyoming, and it's very sacred, very sacred. They believe that sun dances and stuff have been done in there for a long time. Like even the Crow said it was there. And a weird thing about this area. Okay, so if you believe geology and what they tell you, you had the layers. Well, in this area, it's one of the only places in the world they say this area was the land and rocks there is part of Pangea, when all the continents were one country. When it's split apart, this is part of where the first split was, this rock. So if you look at the layers there, the oldest layers are on top, and the newest layers are actually on the very bottom. And it's some, and it just so happens to be in the very spot that this medicine wheel is, where a sacred area.
That's some wild stories behind that shit, right? Like I would never have thought that.
Yeah, and that medicine wheel there, it actually, if you go back a couple pictures, so maybe one more. Yeah, right there, I think.
This one? Yeah,
it shows you that it's actually built for the equinoxes, the spring equinox, they're literally they're like calculating the stars and everything, and so obviously that they would do certain rituals during certain times of the year, and they were calculating it with this wheel, and that's like Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like the same thing as being repeated over and over again. The same shapes, the same symbols across tons of different
cultures.
Yeah, it's just obviously saying the same message.
Exactly. Yeah, and now, okay, so another place that does that is Chaco Canyon. So this is one of the areas in Chaco Canyon. And there's many different ruins and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff and speculation about Chaco Canyon. But the interesting thing is their buildings, they line up perfectly with they track the sun, but I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty positive that they also track the moon cycles, which happen every 10 years. And the buildings actually line up with the moon cycles as well, and they're the only culture to have done that, because it takes 10 years for the moon to go through its cycle. So if you go back, so that's all the different ones. So all these buildings line up with, let's say it's spring equinox, and the sun will line up exactly with those buildings perfectly at a certain time of the year. So go back. Okay, so this here. So this is a cliff. It's in Chaco Canyon. I can't remember the name, but go back one picture. This spiral is there on top. And you see that line of light?
Yeah.
Well, in front of it, there's 3 rocks. And this tracks not only the sun phases, it also tracks the moon phases as well. So I can't quite remember which, but let's say winter equinox or whatever, that line of light will be all the way at the end. Now it might not be the winter equinox, but it's
that's
one
how
of
you're saying
those.
the differences is where the light falls on there, that line.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And this line, they're literally measuring the moon cycles and sun phases with this spiral, and there's somehow how did they literally, there's 3 rocks that are part of the cliff that are like split like in the threes, and then they drew this spiral and it matches up with the moon and the sun, and then to match up with both is very strange. Not only that, the moon's 10 years and it works with that too. So this had to have been done over
a long period of time,
a few generations.
Yeah.
So interesting. This picture in particular to me, because like you just mentioned the 3 sections, right? But if you go and look at the Magician card, so the tarot card for the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, when you look at the Magician card, so that would be, between Banat and Kether on the Tree of Life. But when you look at the Magician card from the Hermetic Tarot, what do you have? This same exact symbol, and there's a ritual that's being performed where a man in a headdress with feathers is commanding this wand over this exact same symbol that you just pulled up.
Wow.
And feathered serpent is there, a whole bunch of other stuff. So just immediately brought
there
that
you go. Yeah, feathered serpent, and that ties in with, did they come from Utah? Did they migrate down? I mean, these symbols are also used in Mexico as well. And again, it's like, how are all these different cultures? Well, it's like they're all seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like what they're communicating with is communicating with everybody, even with like civilizations that aren't even in contact with each other or something.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. Yeah, it's like they have the same, they're almost like the same depictions, but like, again, sometimes a little bit in their own different ways. But it's like almost like the same thing. You can see it's like, how the fuck, there was no internet back then. How did you people know to do that? Like, how did people on 2 different sides of the world draw the same shit?
Let's go to the clowns. So go to the pictures with the stripes and stuff.
Gotcha.
Because that card kind of reminded me of it when you said it.
Yeah, and even on the card, it looks like he's standing on what you're describing as a medicine wheel, indicating 4 corners, swords, cups, a whole bunch of other symbology is there. It's just spot on, exactly what you're talking about.
And then while he's finding that, I found like medicine wheels and stuff that are based off native ones, but they're like clearly like Wicca medicine wheel and stuff. So a lot of these other people have, that's it. A lot of these people have, I don't know. Seems like they're crazy. So this is a Pueblo clown. This is part of the Hopi, and so the Hopi, the Zuni, the Comanche kind of have a similar religion, and then I believe the Navajo as well. But these guys, they mimic star people of the Hopi. So when they're doing rituals and ceremonies, these clowns are used, and they're called Pueblo clowns. And a lot of interesting stuff with them. So go over maybe another one. Okay, so here's some painted. So this is what they would look like during a ritual. I think this is like early 1900s, the picture said.
See, this is even other reasons why I would say that sometimes when you have that panda eye look doesn't necessarily mean it's pedophilia.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, even if you look at that other, go back to the other one, I mean, that's like fucking...
Yeah.
Lady Gaga did that.
Thing.
She automatically was raping a kid. But, I mean, you see it right here in an Indian.
Well, The Pueblo clowns. Okay, so they believe that they're mimicking these. They said that these people used to come to Earth and they would join them in their ceremonies and they would help them, but then they stopped showing up. So then they started like basically dressing themselves as them and acting like them to continue the ceremonies. And these Pueblo clowns, they are 100% a secret society. You cannot join. You can't just join because you want to. You have to have been healed by another clown. And these clowns are in other tribes that are thousands of miles apart. The Lakota, they have the Heyoka. The Heyoka, same thing. It's a clown. In the Heyoka, they have horns and everything. Well, if you go back to that first picture, he has horns with like corn stalks and stuff. And they're mimicking. They say this is what these spirits look like. I mean, when they're doing ritual and their ceremonies, they believe they become possessed by that spirit. So they're possessed by whatever it is. It's not them, and they're very interesting because they're funny. They do funny stuff to help the ceremonies continue and stuff, because certain ceremonies might last 4 days. No food, no water. I mean, things like that. Like the Sundance, like the Lakota, they'll pierce themselves with bone. Like, have you ever seen those people that hang by the rings and stuff with those hooks? Same kind of thing. They do it for 4 days, everything else. But these clowns, they would help the ritual happen, because these things are supposed to flow. They're not supposed to. There's not supposed to be screw-ups and stuff in the middle of them. So, like, if a kid falls, the clown might pick up the kid and keep the kid moving to keep the ceremony going. But they're allowed to break the rules of the tribe. So there's like accounts from like the 1800s and stuff, like these like American guys going in and witnessing these ceremonies, and they got like big exaggerated dicks, and like they're like acting like they're jerking off, and everything. They smear shit all over themselves. They drink pee. They smear semen on themselves. I mean, literally everything. I mean, everything possible. And like, let's say the day of the ceremony, like they start off the day doing stuff. Like they might stand on the corner of a building and start doing all kinds of weird noises, and then all of a sudden the other clowns appear on the corners of the buildings. And they're making all kinds of noise. It's not just during the ceremony. These whole days of the ceremonies, like everything is involved. And not only so, to become a clown, you had to be healed. So most of the time it was like a stomach sickness or something, because these clowns were more associated with helping people with stomach problems and stuff, because they eat anything. So these other ones in this picture here with the brown heads, those are mudhead clowns. So they're also clowns, but and then you can tell the mud clown and then the Pueblo clown, they're both, this one here, it looks like they're like messing with each other, like they're
I don't know what the fuck's
wrestling and prank like pranking each other. Like this guy's got a stick, he's probably slapping people with it, like slapstick.
He's about to go smack that one that's bent over.
Yeah, he would probably do that. He would probably do that. This stuff was done. They were allowed to break the rules to show the rest of the tribe why they have these rules and why these things are implemented and why you don't break these rules. And they're very important to the community, very important to the ceremonies themselves, very important.
And again, this is something that's universal, right? Like, I was just looking it up, the word clown and its origins. I mean, they go back to like Scandinavian dialect. So again, that the same thing that was being done halfway across the world is being done
Same
here.
thing.
Nearly the exact same thing. Coarse manner, brash, man of rustic is where the etymology of the word comes from. But bizarre.
Yeah, and they were doing this like in the 1700s, 1600s, like before the Spanish even got here. It's not like they're in contact with the Scandinavians or something.
And that's that it was from 1560 is where the Scandinavian word originally comes from. So even that kind of fits in the timeline, right?
Yeah, the same timeline. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe keep going with a couple because I got quite a few examples. Okay, stop here. This would be, this is, I think, drawn by Black Elk. He was a Lakota medicine man. And this is a drawing of a thunder being. And you could tell, like, the tail is like a rainbow and it's got horns. Well, in the Lakota religion, the...
red and the black. I mean, the red and the blue, too. That's interesting.
Yeah, in the Lakota religion, so to become a Heyoka or clown, you had to have a dream of a thunder being, thunderbird or lightning and thunder. It was required. You had to have a vision, and if you had that vision, you were a Heyoka the rest of your life, or at least through a cycle of your life, and. It's the same thing, like with the Hopi, they're there to help the ceremonies. They're medicine men. They help sick people. Everything. And the same thing, they got the horns. They got, I mean, spots is not stripes, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Don't that thing look like a griffin also?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then go over. Okay, so this is the Selknam people, I think is how you say it, from Chile. So this is Chile, and look, it's the same striping, the exact same striping, everything, and they you wouldn't think they would have had contact with one another. Keep going. This is the Anu people of Japan, and the women they tattoo their face like that, and that's like the clown lips and stuff. Like,
wow.
And then this is another Selnam person, and yeah, he's got the stripes and all that.
That fucking head.
And he's got some weird helmet on or something.
Yo, that helmet almost reminds me of the dude from what the fuck was it? Silent Hill. Who had the big fucking axe with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Now go to the next one. So look, jesters, clowns, they're portrayed in the same thing. Look, and I chose specifically a black and white one to try to match it with the Pueblo clowns. But look, he's got checkerboard. There's another Anu lady. It's again, that's what jesters did. Then you got the Royal Order of Jesters. I mean, and they're all about that. And you got Beetlejuice with the black and white stripes. And
he's got the eyes too.
He's got the eyes too. Yeah.
Oh, and then look at this shit right here. What's up with that handshake? We've seen that before.
Yeah. And then
go
to that video that I had you clip.
Another hand.
That looks like a Masonic hand.
Here, wait, go back even. Look, there's lightning. Lightning's associated with the thunder beings and stuff of the Lakota.
Oh shit!
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Beetlejuice.
And he's kind of funny too. He's kind of like a clown. He's kind of
he's a jester.
Oh.
Yeah. And then here's a picture out of my book. This one.
Oh wait, hold on. I don't think anybody can see you actually. Hold on, let me change it.
No.
There we go.
That one. Yeah, it's a coloration in the Navajo Eden. I didn't know what a coloration means. It's when different cultures come together and they basically merge. It's a good book. It has a lot of cool stuff, like on the Kachina dolls. Like these are Kachina dolls, but they're Pueblo Kachinas. Kachinas are star people. So These are the spirits that they're communicating with to do these ceremonies and stuff.
You want me to pull up that video that you had?
Yeah, do that video.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was it. But I
What the
noticed
shit?
that in the middle.
Yo, when you sent me that, I was like, yo, you just sent me Lucifer Rising? I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, I should have went back and watched this thing. I was like, damn, I never even, like, I don't know why I never even picked up, like, or remembered
Yeah, it
that
just
shit was in
popped.
there.
That popped up when he was painted with the stripes and stuff, and instantly thought of Pueblo Clowns because I was just reading this book earlier on him, like earlier that day, and bam, like I was just looking up, like I told you before the show, the Manson murders. Bobby Beausoleil did the soundtrack to that originally, the Lucifer Rising, but
Yeah.
it was the Jimmy
And
Page
that guy
version of
is,
that video.
that guy was an outspoken OTO member as well. The guy who did that movie. I mean, he's like, that's
Oh
not even,
yeah,
he's not even hiding
100%.
that.
Kenneth Anger or whatever his name is. Yeah, I got into this weird other movie of his, like Babylon, Hollywood Babylon or something.
Oh,
some
I never
documentary
saw
on
any of his
Hollywood.
other works. I just watched that like a few times.
It's like a documentary on Hollywood. It was kind of cool, but it's off topic.
Yeah, this is really crazy. This is really crazy. And I don't know, like the same symbology that we're talking about with the jesters and everything, the black and the white. I don't know if you guys have heard too many of the stories of people who have done DMT. But
yeah, they see jesters.
They see jesters in black and white dancing around with those two things on their head, right? Like the hat. And,
the hat.
And it's something that's shared among a lot of people who do DMT. Is it's just like they're a permanent fixture of the experience, even though they're different people are taking DMT, they're seeing the same thing, and that's always present.
Yeah, so like Joe Rogan says that like there was these jesters flipping him off and stuff during his DMT trip and making fun of him, saying "fuck you," and yeah.
So it's like
I've heard several.
So when they're talking about these people or these beings that came from the stars or the sky, and then they helped them do rituals, yeah, maybe there's some connection there. You know what I mean?
Definitely, I've thought the same thing. To me, I kind of have a little theory that ties in with Skinwalker and all this stuff. I personally think it's interdimensional. And I think there's after researching this stuff for years and stuff now, it's like there's different ways of accessing this dimensions, whether it's DMT, doing rituals, some other way of doing it.
Astral travel, things like
astral travel. There's what's that program called? Hemisync.
Oh yeah, Gateway.
Yeah, they have Native American ones. They have like a Vision Quest one, and they have like Lakota healing ceremony, and they have like 4 or 5 different Native American ones on there.
Wow.
When I was looking up stuff, that popped up. But it just seems like there's and maybe less so these cultures meeting each other and stuff, and maybe more so they're just communicating on these same dimensions or something.
That would explain
these dimensions.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think with that stupid Skinwalker show, they're so obsessed with outer space, which I think it might be part of it, but I don't know. I think it's more dimensional stuff, and I just think they're never going to find out what's going on there.
Well, then I don't think they'll.
They ain't gonna tell us anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all aliens too. Everything's alien, and I don't know. I still feel like they're more dimensional beings than coming from trillions of light years away.
Absolutely. And you know, you look at the story of Joseph Smith and the way that he describes this angel Moroni visiting him, right? It's not an alien, it's a interdimensional being. And and then so you got all these guys at Skinwalker who are also Mormons. Now they're messing around with an interdimensional portal. It's obvious that they're trying to figure out something about sort of like the early what it is that Smith saw, because they're trying to solve the puzzle of, I think, how to access it.
I think you're right. Yeah, for sure.
You know, they still think that I think Missouri is their actual like promised land, and that would be returning there at the end, too, because they were kicked out. So that's even weird.
Mm-hmm.
So is there like
it's like their promised land?
Yeah. So is there something with this? I don't know, something over there as well?
That goes to the promised land for the lost tribes of Israel, though, too. You know?
Yeah. That's true, yeah. Yeah. It just blew my mind there for a second.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. I mean, really, what you're pointing out here is super important. And, I mean, even, you know, NY and I, who have studied occultism for a while, this stuff is new to us. A lot of this stuff is new to us. So it's always learning, man, bringing minds together to figure this stuff out.
It was new to me, too, to be honest. Yeah, because, like I said, I kind of had an angle on researching this subject that I never have researched before. I've been interested in Native American stuff, but it's just the basic history stuff that everybody is taught and not taught. But yeah,
well, even for me, I don't know what it was, but like it wasn't until Skinwalker for some reason that we covered that. I guess like even just from putting up like, you know, stuff on the intros or just stuff that we used for the show that showed Native Americans, I was looking at them and I was just like, what's the difference between like what they do and what fucking people in secret societies are doing? The way they're dressed up. Like, I'm just like looking at it, not thinking that this is supposed to be whatever, just looking at exactly what I see. And I'm like, I've seen it in other places. I was like, this is actually fucking weird. I was like, why have I never noticed that before? And then when you brought it up, just because like things, you know, we had other stuff going, I was like, yo, if you want to still look into that, let me know. I'll have you on. Because I had thought there was something there, but I didn't know it was like that fucking crazy.
Yeah. Dude, there's this channel I found that kind of had a little series on kind of what we're talking about with the clowns and all these different cultures and stuff. It was on Conspiracy RS. Never heard of him before, but it was cool. And then he mentioned in the video, he brought up the Twin Peaks, the black and white. There's like a room with that's black and white floor, and it's this weird zigzag pattern. And he was pointing out that director has that pattern in a lot of his stuff.
Oh, David Lynch. Yeah, I think that's the Aquarius. He does have like a Saturn statue in there, so I think that might be like the Aquarius waves on the bottom of the floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and he was pointing out the black and white stripe thing, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But he has some cool videos. That could be the two pillars too, just replicated on them. You know. Yeah, that's how I found out about the Anu and the Selknam people, the Chile people, and all that was from his video. It was. He's got like a 3-part series. It's actually pretty cool. Conspiracies RS. I don't know who he is.
I'll have to check it out.
It was cool. Yeah. Yeah, he like it, and then I think he has there's some other series too, but yeah, it's cool. He talks about the clowns and the connections and stuff. It was interesting. I found that after I found out about the Pueblo clowns and all that.
Well, I at least know with like the Royal Order of the Jesters, right? Their stuff. The reason why they always use this clown symbolism is because they think that more or less the plane that we're on, this dimension is a game, and that they use illustrations from Shakespeare to describe it. But they think that that's what they use, that symbolism, because what we're in this dimension is a game. So
yeah,
and even think about the game of chess. The game of chess is on a black and white staggered board with different pieces. It's a game that you're playing, black versus white, light versus dark. I don't know, just a lot of symbolism there.
Yeah, it is. That they're communicating with like a demon, all these different cultures and stuff, I think, is what he was like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting to, like, as if the entities, even though they're giving different tribes or different people's information, that it's not always like in their best interest. So they're sort of, again, portraying the thing of the clown or the jester. So, like, lying to different cultures about what's true or false. So that's why he's saying it could possibly be a demon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, like, there's, God dang it. I just forgot that one too now.
The gummies are kicking in.
Oh no. Like how this, like, in kind of like you've heard about, like the Sumerians talking with like Anunnaki and stuff. And then, and they said that they taught them how to do these things. They taught them how to farm and do all this stuff. Well, the same thing with the Hopi and them. They say that these spirits taught them how to farm. They taught them how to do their ceremonies, taught them how to do all the stuff, what plants to pick, what all this stuff. They say that they taught them all this stuff, kind of like the Sumerian story with Anunnaki or whatever. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, you had mentioned earlier, and it made me think of. I'm sure nobody probably even watch it except for me and Lee, because Lee told me it even came out. Movie Prey. It's a prequel. It's supposed to be a prequel to Predator, and it does take place with. I don't even know if they mention what Indian tribe it is, but it's with Indians. And when they see the Predator ship, they call it the Thunderbird.
Oh wow!
Yeah, whenever they see that, they think it's like something called the Thunderbird. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah, that would more than likely be like Lakota. Yeah, and the Lakota are Lakota, Dakota, and Nakotas. They're all part of the same tribe. So like that movie Dances with Wolves, they're Lakota. So Sioux is also another name you see for them. But yeah.
This is interesting stuff, man. This has got the wheels turning for sure.
Yeah,
and then like with there's this dance called the ghost dance, and this kind of ties in with the Mormons a little bit. Now this ceremony would be done to it became a thing from this Paiute chief. What was his name? Wovoka. And he started this whole ghost dance movement in like 1890. And for some reason it spread throughout all the tribes, and almost all the tribes had their own version of it in 1890. And what it was, you're supposed to have come in contact with your dead relatives. They're supposed to come back and help you in battle. And then there's also something to do with this shirt. And the shirt during the ceremony, when the ceremony is complete, you're supposed to be bulletproof. Like nothing is supposed to shoot you. And it's like the same kind of like real thin cloth like the Mormons wear. And they think that it actually came from a similar Mormon ceremony because the Paiutes are from Utah. So he might be mixing a little bit of Mormon and his own religion together to come up with this dance or something. But that dance, it literally started one of the worst massacres that ever happened. The Wounded Knee massacre happened over the ghost dance. They thought that it was a war dance, It wasn't. All it was is to basically like to protect themselves from the cavalry and stuff coming after them. And yeah, they went in there and killed everybody. It was just like little girls and boys and elderly, and there was no weapons or anything in camp. And the army claims that somebody took a shot at them, and then that's what started it. But there was nobody there to have took a shot. They didn't. These little kids are gonna start shooting at them. No. Yeah, and that massacre happened over the ghost dance, and it's very irritating reading about the Wounded Knee and all these different massacres and the stuff that happened to them. Yeah, it's irritating. And then the stuff that's going on today still, stuff I never knew, stuff I had no clue until the past few months researching on Native Americans and stuff. And some don't even like the term Native American because it was a term that the government gave. It doesn't even mean like it's like Native Hawaiians are Native American, and like there's all kinds of other things that are, yeah, like it's not just the tribes. There's all kinds of other things combined into that term, and they don't like that term anyways because the government gave it to them basically.
One thing I guess I wanted to show you real quick before we jump off here is I wanted to show you this this picture that I found of the tarot that I think you would find pretty interesting and ties into it. Okay. So this, to me, when I look at this, it's the same exact thing that you just showed. This Wheel of Fortune here is the same medicine wheel.
It's the same medicine wheel. It's
literally the same one, man.
And it even has the part in the middle that could be considered like the creator or yourself in the middle there.
Mm-hmm. I have noticed, depending on, because you even mentioned before with tribes, they sometimes have different things in the corners. There is one, I can't remember which one, maybe a Micmac, I could be wrong. I think does match up with the Crowley's Toth deck of the things he has in the corner as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the tribe seals kind of have weird stuff in them sometimes. Like each tribe had their own seal. And there's sometimes weird stuff in those too. And they have them all arranged in certain ways. I don't know. Yeah. To me, it just looked weird.
Some wild shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cool. That's literally the exact same thing. Like,
and it's the Wheel of Fortune card.
That's what I was thinking of too before when he was talking about the wheels. And sometimes I've even wondered, like, is that the whole, like, what people think when they're seeing a spaceship? Was the Predator, was the Predator ship like supposed to be representing
when you guys brought up the Ezekiel thing in that episode, that like a couple episodes back that you guys did, the wheel within a wheel, and weird. Yeah, and that's the same thing. A wheel within a wheel is typically in the medicine wheel as well.
Right, and you have the same symbolism here with a wheel within a wheel at the Chariot card. One wheel.
Yeah, and one wheel. I mean, in Wheel of Fortune, the medicine wheel was everything to some of these tribes. Like the Ute, again, the whole camp is based off that medicine wheel.
Isn't there like something set up like that where Utah, there's like the Four Corners, I think you mentioned? Did you mention that earlier? Isn't there something like almost set up like a medicine wheel, like permanently there, like in the Four Corners where those like states match or something shit like that?
Yeah, there's those ruins up there at the Mesa Verde. It's like supposed to be the Anasazi ruins. And I guess Anasazi is not a correct term anymore. I guess it's like derogatory or something. I don't know what what they want to be called now, or I don't know. But yeah, they have like circular kivas and stuff. And these kivas you would climb down into with a ladder, and they would be covered, and there would just be a little hole at the top with the ladder sticking out, and their ceremonies were done inside those circles. And like the Chaco Canyon, you saw all the different holes, the circles that were all over in those pictures. There was so many people. It was all these people doing the ceremony at once. So they would, one circle get filled, and then another one they get more, but there's also speculation with Chaco Canyon. I mean, a lot of that stuff is speculation, because like they say there was ceremonies, but there's no char marks or anything on any of the walls or anything. It's like they didn't even, like, the fires couldn't have been built in there. But then, like, yeah, it's weird. And then there's some that say that, like, it was built to hold slaves.
I've heard that before.
That tribe was
with Anasazi, yeah.
Yeah, they were keeping the Navajo as slaves, and that's where they would keep them, down in these holes.
Yo, one of the reasons why I wanted to even cover them is because, like, within the last few years, I think they've been coming into evidence of thinking that neither they ate themselves, ended up turning into cannibals, or somebody ate them.
Yeah,
because they're finding
cannibalism.
A bunch of their bones that if you were to reenact, like using a piece of like fucking sharp rock, and how you would have cut shit off of a bone, then you see the same shit, carvings and marks on the Anasazis, or however you say them, bones themselves. So they're like, did somebody eat them, or did they eat themselves? Because like looking at their bones, you could see that they were fucking filleted.
Or were they eating the Navajo, the slaves, or something? And
yeah, somebody was getting eaten.
Yeah.
Quetzalcoatl got them.
Fuck. Oh.
Yeah, the homeland of the Maya in Utah, right there.
Yo, and when we covered I think I mentioned it when we did cover the Mormons a little bit. There was groups of them that they had like sites to go specifically on vacation. Mormons to Chichen Itza, to the Quetzalcoatl pyramid, and they would go up the stairs. Yeah,
Feast of Fire.
Yeah, fucking weird.
That's where they would go to do this giant.
Oh, that's
ritual.
right. That's right.
And Feast of Fire, right? We've been talking about fire this entire time too, so that connects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that Navajo god, the Black God, is the god of fire.
Right.
Yeah, and I had some pictures of him somewhere in there, but we don't got to pull them up. Yeah, but he's got, like, on his face, he's always got, like, the Pleiades star system is always painted on his face somewhere in every depiction of him. And he represents all kinds of stuff. And I think he's, like, the opposite of, like, the creator. And there's the Ute creator story is pretty interesting, too. They say that... okay, so they have their creator, and then they have Coyote would be like your trickster spirit, or like your opposite thing, the Coyote. Well, I'm giving you a very simplified version. Their creator had a bag, and he had it full of sticks, and all these different sticks, and of different trees and different stuff in this bag, and he had mixed them together, and it slowly turned into different people. Well, he went to go for a break one day, and he put the bag down through a hole and laid it down. Well, then Coyote came over there and knocked the bag down, and a bunch of the sticks came. Well, they weren't sticks, they were people now, came running out. And by the time the creator came back, he picked up the bag, and he noticed that there was only one group of people left in the bag. And he said that, oh, these are my people, and I'm going to put them here. So he's going to put them on the mountains of Colorado, basically. And this is my people. And they're basically, the story is like they're going to be better than everybody. Like they're going to outlive everybody and everything kind of thing. But that's their creation story, that like the creator basically, dropped a bag full of people. Dropped them, and a weird thing with the bag, and Graham Hancock, he has a huge he goes into deep detail of a lot of these weird spirits, like the Anunnaki and stuff. They have these bags, these handbags, and they find those same bags in Mexico and everything depicted. Like the bird-headed guys, they always had this bag. Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a natural history museum near me, and I went to it a while ago, and they have sort of I forget what they're called, but it's like exact replicas of the Sumerian like carvings that they did. And the Sumerians
the
depict
cylinders or whatever they call them. Yeah, they have a specific name. I know what you mean.
But he's a kind of a bird-looking dude, and he's carrying around a bag, and he's got on his wrist a circle within a circle with the 4 directions.
Oh, wow. I think you're right. I remember the circle. I remember that picture. Yeah. Yeah, he has like a little watch or bracelet kind of thing on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. I didn't even put that together until you said that.
Same message all across the world, just different people saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Definitely fucking weird. Thank you, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That was
See,
awesome.
now this makes me want to find, it makes me just want to go research more stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've definitely got me interested now with that stuff, because I had a thought or assumed, like I said, there was probably something there. It's just I never got to it, and this was pretty fucking awesome, man. The clown shit. When you sent me the stuff when you were like, here's the stuff to show, and I saw some of the pictures, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking good. Just from the clown shit, I was like, oh man.
Honestly, we could have done a whole episode on the clowns. There's a few things that we could do a whole episode on. It's pretty crazy. Like, we could devote. There's this medicine man Black Elk, and the Lakota. Like, we could do a whole thing on their rites, like their sacred rites. I have all of them right here.
That's wild.
But yeah, you could do a whole episode on those, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Man. Yeah, and Black Elk himself, he has all these crazy visions, and the Lakota, they would scry inside like cups and water, and like during one of his visions, he had this like blue man appeared in the water, and anytime he did healing ceremonies, that blue man would always appear when he would scry. And he's got this weird vision. He got sick for 12 days when he was a boy, and it's literally like Armageddon, like this crazy thing that's very similar to Armageddon. And then he has these crazy visions he did the ghost dance, and he was seeing somebody kind of like Jesus with like marks in his hands, and I mean, crazy stuff.
That made me think of Comfortably Numb. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Isn't that kind of what's going on? The kid's sick, and it's during the time of war, too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's so fucking...
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why. It popped into my head when you mentioned he was sick. I thought automatically fucking Comfortably Numb my hands.
You and the damn Pink Floyd, dude. Always got to
And I was like, and there was fucking war going on then, too.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, Pink Floyd was my favorite for... When I was a kid, I would research everything about him. I know everything about that band.
I love them.
My grandpa, he loved Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets and all those albums. So I listened to those when I was a kid.
That's the fucking weirdest shit, too. Yeah, those old ones.
Yeah, man. He loved the weirder the better.
Yeah, for sure. Adam Hart Mother, I thought that was a good one, too. That was another fucking weird one. But I don't think too many people know of.
The Ummagumma, though.
Oh, yeah.
There's a song on there, several species.
Oh, yeah. That shit's wild.
Together in a cave and grooving with a picket or something.
Yo, I've literally thought of ways of trying to sample something from that and throwing it into an intro. And I'm like, yo, that's fucking hard because that shit's like fucking off the wall.
Yeah, very. It's just like a bunch of weird animal noises and stuff.
But thank you so much for coming on, man. I thought that was truly interesting.
Thank you,
really.
Guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, you showed me shit I had no idea about. I had assumed there was something there, and you fucking brought it to the table, man. Thank you. That's what's up.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to get a computer. I'm trying to.
Yes, I know you're asking me.
Start my own couple shows, like that Native American one. I think I'm gonna do, and then just a show talking about it, just about anything, everything,
nice.
Conspiracies, everything.
Yeah. You definitely have you ever come across more stuff? I mean, we could definitely have you come on again for another topic with this stuff. I think you did a pretty good job.
We could do that. I could
so we could always have you back on again in the future, man.
Almost any subject, pretty much, if you want.
All right, yeah, we'll talk about it
Even
eventually, and we'll get you back on for another topic with this.
All right.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we could do some Native American stuff or anything else.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good, brother.
Okay.
And now I guess you don't have anything to plug, do you? So I guess that's just it.
Not really. Check out those links that I sent.
That's right. Yes.
There's a couple cool Russell Means videos. I don't know. He just says a lot of cool stuff in there. Breaks down some history and all kinds of other stuff.
Awesome. Good stuff.
They're pretty cool.
All right, so the links for the videos that he's talking about, they will be in the bottom. The links for all our stuff will be in the bottom. The link to the Element chat is in the bottom as well. Check that out. Join. Shouldn't be having a problem with getting banned like we did with Discord. So check it out. And that is the end of another Occult Rejects. Thank you again, Thrash, for coming on. I was very much looking forward to this. It only took, 2 or 3 months, but we finally made it happen. And I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
It's all right. I had horrible anxiety.
It's all right. Listen, I was busy, then you were busy. I was busy, then you were busy. So it happened when it was supposed to happen, man, and it came out good.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
Fuck
exactly.
yeah. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.